Live, local, and talking about the teams that matter to you. This is Talkin Sports with Jim Shovlin on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Brought to you by McMahon's Best One Tire and Auto Care.
And good morning and welcome to Talkin Sports on a beautiful but chilly Saturday morning. I'm Adam Lundy. I'm going to be filling in for Jim Shovlin this morning as Jim continues to recover from having surgery, not this past week, but the week before. So still in recovery, but doing a lot better. And I know he's going to be listening into the show this morning. So still keeping you in our thoughts, Jim, and hope all the best. And hope to hear you back on our airwaves soon. But I'm Adam Lundy filling in this morning for Jim, and I'm going to be flying solo, taking you up to 10 o'clock this morning as we've got a lot of local sports of all sorts to talk about. And if you want to get involved in the show, of course, our text line is the Fire Police Credit Union text line. And the text line is also sponsored by Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana. The text line number is 260-447-8500. If you want to get your thoughts on anything Indiana sports related on the text line, we'll go ahead and read that some point throughout the show. But also today we're going to be talking to Shane Albahrani of the Fort Wayne Komets. The Komets got a win last night. We'll hear about that one from Shane coming up a little bit closer to 9:40, and we'll have a lot of fun talking to Shane. That'll be a good time. I've worked with Shane in the past, and it's always a good time to reconnect with him and see what's going on with the Fort Wayne Komets as they get a win last night over the Bloomington Bison at the Memorial Coliseum, 4-3. In front of 7,100-plus fans. Always a good Friday night out there at the Fort Wayne, Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. And tonight they are also in action against the Indy Fuel at the Coliseum at 7:35 p.m. will be the puck drop for that game tonight. So we'll talk to Shane about tonight and see which princess he's rooting for, as it's going to be Princess Night and Report Card Night. So if you're in the area and Fort Wayne area, need something to do tonight, there's always a Fort Wayne Komets game as an option tonight. There's going to be a princess meet and greet for the young ones tonight at the Coliseum from 6:15 to 7:30 before puck drop. There's going to be an on-ice princess parade, so we're going to get the scoop on the princess parade and all that from Shane Albahrani a little bit later in the hour. We're also going to be talking to University of Saint Francis. He's no longer just the athletic director. He's the vice president for student life and athletics at the University of Saint Francis. It's Mike McCaffrey, and we'll talk to him a little bit closer to 9:20 a.m. this morning as we get set to talk about all things Saint Francis. Also coming up today in the IHSAA, it is the boys' state finals of high school basketball. And, of course, right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM, we will be bringing you coverage of the New Haven Bulldogs competing in the Class 3A state championship down in Indianapolis, and they'll be taking on 24-5 Indianapolis Cathedral. So we'll have that matchup for you right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. That game is set for 6 o'clock p.m. down at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Cathedral, they're playing for their third title in school history, and they've knocked out the two ranked teams on their way at semi-state to get their way down to Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. But again, we'll bringing you coverage of the New Haven Bulldogs taking on Indianapolis Cathedral right here at 6 o'clock. Pre-game will start about 5 to 7 minutes ahead of scheduled tip-off time. Elsewhere in state matchups in the early morning session down there, Session 1 at 10:30 is going to be your Class 1A between Bar Reeve and Triton. At approximately 12:45, your Class 2A state championship is going to be Park Heritage taking on Westview, a school that's a little bit close to us, a little bit out of our area, but we'll still be pulling for the 27-1 Westview. Park Heritage is chasing their school's first title in any sport, but Westview is on a 26-game winning streak, and they're looking for their third title. It would be their first since 2000. But again, 6 o'clock p.m., New Haven Bulldogs taking on 24-5 Indianapolis Cathedral. We want you to tune in right here on 1380 The Fan. If anybody else is like me, they probably had a bit of a late night last night, staying up watching some of the NCAA men's basketball, whether it was Michigan State falling to UConn in that later game. That was a great comeback attempt there by Tom Izzo and his Michigan State Spartans, but UConn defeats Michigan State 67-63 last night. That's one of the Big Ten teams that had made it on to the Sweet 16, now eliminated, but elsewhere was good for the Big Ten teams. Michigan with a dominant win over the 4-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide, 90-77. That moves the Michigan Wolverines on to the Elite Eight. And we'll be keeping a look at all that. How about also on Thursday, that fantastic tip-in by Trey Kaufman-Renn last second against the Texas Longhorns to get the win for Purdue to put them in the Elite Eight. And there was a fantastic game on Thursday between Iowa and Nebraska, which featured a fantastic Iowa comeback to defeat Nebraska as well. Other than that, checking out a couple things that happened today in Fort Wayne sports history. Always a big shout-out to Blake Sebring, who wrote the fantastic book on this. And I'm not pulling from his book today. I don't have a copy personally. I'll need to get one, but just going off of the old search engine today. But on March 28th, 1926, baseball legend Babe Ruth made a famous visit to Fort Wayne to play with the semi-professional Fort Wayne Lincoln Lifers, playing almost every position and hitting 2 home runs in an 11-1 victory. Also today in Fort Wayne/Indiana history, on March 28th of 1955, the cover of Sports Illustrated honored the 52nd American Bowling Congress Championship, hosted by Fort Wayne from March 26th to June 5th of that year, when over 31,000 participants and others came to our Memorial Coliseum. And I know a lot of the listeners who were around back in that era can definitely speak to all the bowling and how huge of an event it was back then when it came to the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. Other than that, that's kind of a look at what we've got coming up throughout the program, as we're going to be talking again to Saint Francis Cougars Vice President for Student Life and Athletics, Mike McCaffrey, about what's the latest going on with Saint Francis. And we're also going to be talking to Shane Albahrani about the Komets getting win over Bloomington last night and their game tonight against the Indy Fuel, and how things are starting to wrap up for the Fort Wayne Komets as we get closer and closer to the ECHL playoffs. All right, that's going to do it for our intro segment. Again, if you want to send a message into the text line, if you either have a message for Shane about the Fort Wayne Komets, or if you have a message about St. Francis or anything college athletics from Mike McCaffrey, again, the Goodwill Industries of Northeast Indiana text line is 260-447-8500. All right, we'll be back with more after this. You're listening to Talkin Sports with Adam Lundy, filling in for Jim Shovlin, right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Adam Lundy filling in for Jim Shovlin this morning. Having a fantastic time so far filling in, and if you're listening in, I appreciate you for tuning in. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, the Fire Police Credit Union phone line, as we prepare to talk to Mike McCaffrey, the Director of Athletics of St. Francis. Good morning, Mike McCaffrey. How are you?
Morning, Adam. How are you, my man?
Fantastic. So my first question, a little off topic, but as someone who's involved with NAIA, how much do you get a chance to tune into NCAA events and get a little bit of March Madness action and if you have any spare time?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the one time of year outside of maybe the college football playoffs, or last year I was pretty into the baseball World Series because of the run that Murray State went on, and one of our former players, Graham Kellum, was dominating Duke for innings. And so I pick and choose my moments. Obviously, this time of year, this weekend especially is a down weekend for me with home events, and so I'll tune in and watch some basketball. And obviously, like I said, when there's some interests that I have in different NCAA sports, football obviously is a dominating thing. You're only talking about a game or two a weekend, so it's easy to follow those. But last week I was, in Iowa with our women's basketball team, so you're kind of in the basketball mode and throwing the laptop on and watching some NCAA basketball. So, I mean, this time of year I definitely engage and watch it. my big thing this spring, now that basketball season's over, I'm waiting for the Masters to start. I'm a golf guy, so
all right.
Definitely the Masters is and the fact Easter and being a Catholic and great time of year and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good time of year to kind of dive into whatever's popping on TV. But I don't have a strong rooting interest in NCAA sports. I don't have a team that I follow religiously. I'm being an upstate New York native, not a lot of collegiate affiliations up there, other than my hometown team, Siena Saints, did make some noise by pushing Duke to the brink, and it became a pretty cool story. And I played basketball in their gym growing up and lived probably 2 minutes around the corner from Siena College. So it was fun to watch them when I was out there in Iowa, and kind of rooting for the Siena Saints. And obviously they lost their coach 10 minutes after the game was over, and he went to Syracuse. So it'll be interesting to see how you can rebound from that. And I definitely get into it. I'm much more invested in the NAIA as far as watching games and watching, our Crossroads League, and I'll put on a, Taylor and Marion baseball game over, watching, let's say, just a random NCAA college basketball game or something. So I'm definitely more invested in the NAIA, but obviously I'm a sports guy. So when I'm sitting around or grilling in the garage or watching TV, there's a good chance there's some sporting event on, and usually it'll be NCAA. So I don't avoid it, but I'm definitely kind of a passive fan when it comes to NCAA sports.
Yeah, these spring days, occasional warm days, have you ready for those azaleas and the calm voice of Jim Nantz, though, huh?
Amen. I'm ready for it, man. I love it. And last year was obviously cool. I'm a Rory guy, so it was fun for last year. And then this year, it seems like there's some wild cards maybe coming in. Everybody's talking about Patrick Reed or DeChambeau or John Rahm, guys you don't get to watch every Sunday. But I'm definitely pulling for the Rorys or the Brooks Koepkas or the Justin Roses. Those are kind of the guys that I like to watch. But yeah, there's nothing better for me than Easter Sunday sitting down watching the final round of the Masters.
No question. And last week, getting into Saint Francis athletics now, last week we talked about the women at Sioux City, and they had just come off a good win in the round of 16 over Hastings. Unfortunately, they did lose in the next round in the quarterfinal against a great Dordt team out of Iowa, but still a fantastic season for your women's basketball team.
Yeah, it was. And then after the first quarter, I felt like we were in a really good spot. I think we were up 2 at the end of the first quarter against Dordt, and then momentum kind of shifted a little bit. I think our style of play that we had in the first quarter wasn't able to continue due to kind of some officiating changes, and kind of really buckled down in the paint and didn't allow us to be as physical as I think we wanted to be. And lost to a really, really good team who ended up playing for the national championship Tuesday night against Marion, a team that we know very well.
Oh, yeah.
And one that we had beat this year, one that we had played 38 minutes. We're leading in the conference tournament, ended up giving up that one late. So a team that we know we can play with, Marion, and the Marion ends up winning the national championship. So good news for us, from a conference standpoint. Good to see one of our conference teams go out and win the national title. We wish it was us. But hats off to them. They were a tough team. They did everything right that night and took it right to Dordt. And a lot of the stuff that we had talked about, what we needed to do to beat Dordt, Marion just did it better than us. And they have a little more upper class player of the year in Abby McNally, who really is a force inside that we've seen now for 4 years. And as much as enjoyed watching her play, I won't be sad that she's graduating and won't be able to play against us next year. But Crossroads League is a beast, and Indiana Wesleyan's reloading with a heck of a recruiting class, and they were out there in Iowa with us, making it to the Sweet 16. So Crossroads League did a great job representing. Our team mostly comes back, with the exception of Julia Mantula, who will graduate, but everyone else comes back. And at a freshman we had who was injured all year that will come in, and then another strong recruiting class. So I anticipate us up in that top 3 of the Crossroads League, with us, Marion, Indiana Wesleyan battling again, and hopefully getting back to Sioux City for another run at it next year. But super proud of this team. First time women's basketball has been to Sioux City since the NAI merged to one division and got a victory. So made history. Now we gotta build on it, and we gotta get in the weight room and get in the gym in the off season and just get better, because that was evident after the game against Dordt. We just need to get a little better at some of the things we need to do to beat a team like that.
Well, I think that's good, though, that you have an attack plan and, a clear goal of what you want to see out of this team and something that they need to accomplish next season in regards to getting better. And that's huge that you mentioned you're going to have a large returning class, and that's one of the huge things. You don't see as much transferring in the NAIA, and you see a lot of return students come back and play for the Saint Francis Cougars in the next season. And that can be huge when you said going into next season.
Yeah, Jeremy does a great job, and we may lose one here or there over the years that decides to move up to another level or whatever that looks like. I know it's evident in the state of Indiana, and you see a lot of these girls that it looks like a bunch of girls from Northeast Indiana that ended up at Butler or all leaving Butler, and they're going to go somewhere. And so, I mean, it's a little bit of a factor at our level, but not to the degree of the men's game by any means. So, no, Jeremy does a great job, and he'll recruit high school girls, and we'll try to get a transfer in like we did with Renna Schwederman from PFW, who had a great year for us, and look forward to her being a senior coming back next year. But it's definitely we add to it with the transfer piece and really try to bring kids in for 4 years and help them grow and develop.
Yeah, absolutely. And going on to a little bit more recent, baseball team got a doubleheader split yesterday against Huntington. Or no, I'm sorry, this was a long time ago. I'm looking at completely old stories.
No, it was the other day.
Yeah, it was the other day. No, but yeah, so how are things going so far with the baseball team?
Well, they started a little rough, but they're turning it around. I mean, Huntington, I think, was ranked 16th when we played them, and I think they got up to 10th the next day. A different poll came out, and very good team. So, excuse me. So it's the baseball team's playing better. The split with Huntington is a good one, gives them some confidence. That's coming off a sweep of Grace the weekend before that. So really starting, I mean, I think when Dustin Butcher texted me after the first game against Huntington, where I texted him and said, great win, good one to build on. I think he said we had 6 freshmen in the lineup, 2 sophomores, and 1 or 2 seniors in there. So really trying to kind of reset the baseball program. We lost a huge class last year, one of the most successful class we've ever had in USF baseball. So trying to replace those guys has been a task. But as the season goes on and you get a win against the Huntington, and then we'll go down there today, we'll play 2 more. They're heading in the right direction. We just need some of these guys to grow up quick, which we don't always have control of that type of thing. But they're getting good experience. They're getting some good wins. And hopefully we can build on it. They're right in the middle of the conference, so, we just got to be peaking when it gets to tournament time and make a run there.
Yeah, another cool thing going on today. This is a relatively new thing for Saint Francis, but I want people to know about it and start to get involved. But your women's flag football team is in competition today at the Flag Frenzy in Campbellsville, Kentucky, taking on Cumberland. And if I'm correct, this is your inaugural season of women's flag football? Yeah,
first season ever, first spring. It's the first year where the NAIA has classified it as an invitational sport, which means we will have a national championship. You will have to qualify for it because we got to the threshold of, I think, 35 teams in the NAIA, but we were the first ones in the state of Indiana to launch a competitive flag football program and hosted our first tournament last weekend. So we had 5 schools in Fort Wayne and won both of our games last weekend, and then yesterday down in Campbellsville, pulled off 2 big ones. We beat Campbellsville in the morning and then turned around and beat Life out of Georgia, who I think came in ranked number 10 in the NAIA. There's only been 1 poll so far, so we'll see how it shakes up. But no, women's flag team has been very impressive for a first-year team, and we knew T.J. Williams, our coach, when we hired him here locally, was going to be competitive, but I think even to the level of his competitiveness right now against some really good teams has been a little surprising, which is fun. So, we got to get to a postseason kind of automatic qualifier situation and hopefully get into a tournament down in Florida for the national championship here in May. But right now they're getting experience. We're traveling around playing against some really good teams, and we're having some success. So they've been fun to watch, and I've learned a lot, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about women's flag, and it's been fun. Everything we kind of thought it would be when we launched it has certainly turned into, but the student athletes are great. They're great members of our campus. They bring a lot to campus, and obviously they're having some success. So we can celebrate some things around women's flag this spring for sure.
That's fantastic. And I was just going to ask, what's some of the feedback you've gotten from some of the student athletes that have competed for St. Francis in the women's flag football so far, and also possibly some feedback from the fans who have come to check it out, what they've said about it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's excited. Everybody's locked in on it. We've got a pretty diverse group for women's flag. They come from a lot of different areas. We actually brought in one from California, one from Arizona, one from Las Vegas. So it's not quite the local recruiting that most of our other sports are, and that's just because it was so new and there weren't a ton of opportunities out there for high school females to play women's flag at the college level. So we were able to get out and recruit in the winter, and then last winter when we were out recruiting, and then even the summer before that when we hired our coach. He's been all over the country because he's got some connections with the NFL flag program, so they send him out to run tournaments, and then he was able to recruit while he was out there. So able to bring in some big pieces, not necessarily right from the Fort Wayne area or even Northeast Indiana where most of our athletes come from. So it's been good to kind of bring them into Fort Wayne, and obviously a little bit of a culture shock when you're from Las Vegas or California and you get hit with some of the weather we've had the last month. I think their head was spinning a little bit as the 70 degrees one day, 30 degrees the next, 6 inches of snow, and then nothing. So they're getting the full Indiana experience here this spring, that's for sure.
I just have a big smile on my face. I'm imagining going from, Las Vegas, 90 degrees in winter outside Mandalay Bay, going to, Saint Francis and imagining the cold. But, beautiful campus and a great time there. But super happy that things are going well for the women's flag football program. Also today, real quick, you've got the Saint Francis outdoor track and field teams competing at the Yellow Jacket Collegiate over in Cedarville, Ohio.
Yeah, so we're getting the outdoor season kicked off. Feels like we just finished the indoor season a week or so ago. It was actually 2 weeks ago, and now we jump right into the outdoor season, which is a strong kind of almost a 5-week push, and then you're into the Nationals already. So it's a quick turnaround, a quick outdoor season. So we'll pick and choose a few outdoor meets and send kids out to try to get qualifying marks. It's not as much as finishing a certain place as a team as it is letting these kids go get experiences at different places and try to hit the qualifying marks in either the running events or the field events that we compete in. So they're getting rocking and rolling. Coach Moody, Coach Hart do a great job with them. Looking forward to sending a few kids to Nationals here at the outdoor. But yeah, it's that heavy season where everything seems to be playing, and softball's got a doubleheader down at Huntington today. So we've got baseball and Huntington right down 24 at Huntington to play a couple games there, and softball's right now third in the conference, and with 2 wins today, could be in first or second by the time it's all said and done. So we're enjoying some success and trying to ride the wave and try to have a good spring season for a lot of our athletes. And so far we're doing a pretty good job.
That's what it's all about. That's the latest in Saint Francis athletics with University Vice President for Student Life and Athletics, Mike McCaffrey. Mike, thank you for joining me, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And I'm not sure if I'll be filling in or if someone else will be filling in next Saturday, but we'll hope to talk to you then.
Sounds good. Well, I told Shelby we'll hold it down for him as long as we can. We all want him back, but we'll do what we can to hold this thing down while he's recuperating, and we're all praying for him and sending him good vibes. But you have a great weekend, Adam. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Absolutely. That was Mike McCaffrey joining us here on Talkin Sports on the Police, Fire, and Credit Union phone line. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking to Shane Albahrani about the Komets getting a win last night, and if he's rooting for Elsa or Rapunzel in Princess Night tonight for the Fort Wayne Komets in action at 7:30 against the Indy Fuel. That's coming up after this. You're listening to Talkin Sports with Adam Lundy filling in for Jim Shovlin right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. And welcome back to Talkin Sports. I'm Adam Lundy filling in for Jim Shovlin this morning, this sunny Saturday morning. Still chilly, though. Need that warmth to come back, but again, filling in for Jim this morning, and we wish the best to Jim as he continues to recover. But joining me right now on the Fire Police Credit Union phone line is Shane Albahrani, the voice of the Fort Wayne Komets. Shane, how are you this morning?
I'm good. You know what? We're here just picking up for that slacker Shovlin.
Oh, my gosh. What's wrong with this guy?
Right?
Just thinks he can take all the time off, and oh, my goodness, this guy.
Hey, it's show business, man. The show must go on, so exactly. I don't know what his deal is.
Whether it's me, whether it's Jim, someone's going to be in here talking local sports of all sorts from 9 to 10, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, and we kid. Jimmy, we love you. We can't wait for you to get back.
Can't wait, indeed. Before we get into anything Fort Wayne Komets related, Shane, I want to ask you, have you secured your tickets for Metallica at the Sphere in Las Vegas later this year yet?
You know what? Out of morbid curiosity, the wife and I looked up tickets, and we shouldn't have been allowed to even look up the price. I mean,
Can't even afford to look up the price, huh?
Right. The parental control should have popped up on our internet.
They're pricing out the real fans out there in Vegas.
It's not, it's not about age. It's income level. Yeah, if you don't have that much money, you shouldn't be looking at this site. So no. But I did secure my tickets for Iron Maiden in Chicago in September. Those were procured back in October. So yeah, I do have one big summer show that I am going to that I splurged on.
That's huge. That'll be fun later this season. But going into Fort Wayne Komets action, last night it was a shootout, and Albahrani, the hero in last night's game against the Bloomington Bison.
Yeah, Alex Albahrani, he's a guy when the Komets need a goal in a big spot, he always comes up with it, and last night just happened to be in a shootout. It was just the second shootout the Komets have been in this season, which is kind of hard to believe. The first one was way back in November when we won down in Florida, so the Komets 2-0 in shootouts, and it was a 2 points that we needed desperately because Toledo was playing Indy last night, and they lost in a shootout, so the Komets managed to gain ground on Toledo. The Komets now 1 point back of the division lead here with just a handful of games left. I think we got 11 left. So still a lot of points yet to be had. We got 2 games head-to-head with Toledo coming up at the end of the season with both of them being played at the Coliseum. So the division might come down to that. But last night, the Komets were up 3-1. They let Bloomington back in the game there in the third period to tie it up. And the Komets are shorthanded. You're missing 3 regulars out of the lineup. We lost Matthew Brown to call up. We also lost Brady Stonehouse to a call off. Blake Murray is on bereavement leave. So you had 3 top forwards out of the lineup last night. So the fact that we were still managed to persevere, get the win, and hang on to the 2 points is actually, is very impressive. Because you're playing a Bloomington team that they're basically in a 3-way tie for the fourth and final playoff spot. They get a point last night, so they're actually now in that fourth spot, just 1 point up on Kalamazoo and Cincinnati. But they're in an absolute dogfight, obviously, trying to get that fourth and final playoff spot. So the last night really was a playoff game for them. And the Komets, even though they were shorthanded, again dug deep there in the third period, able to grit their teeth and get the shootout win, and hoping for a good result here tonight against Indy.
Yeah, power plays were big for the Komets last night. They went 2 for 3 on their power plays, and they held the Bison scoreless on their 3.
Yeah, power play is actually has been very good over the last 6 weeks or so. I think fourth best in the league right now. And, that's going to be big, going down the stretch and into the playoffs, and the Komets still again. And again, you had 2 power play goals without some of your best power play guys out there. You didn't have Matthew Brown, didn't have Blake Murray, so that was impressive. But Kirill Tatayev and William Dufour, they have become quite the tandem on the power play, and those 2 guys picked up some power play points last night. The penalty killing has been lacking. I know the coaching staff not happy with where that is right now, but able to stop Bloomington twice on the power play is certainly going to build their confidence up a little bit. And again, it comes back to the personnel. What we're going to have in the lineup. I can't see very many changes going into tonight's game because pretty much everybody who we have is going to have to dress and be ready to go for Indy tonight.
With the current roster built as it is, and like you mentioned, with a couple people out, might get some back, might not. How do you feel about the Komets' chances to fare for the rest of the season and then going into the playoffs? Do they have what it takes to take down the likes of a Toledo Walleye in a playoff series?
Oh, absolutely. I've been saying this all year. 5-on-5. This team is one of the best in the league. I'll put them up against anybody. When specialty teams comes around, that sometimes get a little dicey. But no, we've played Toledo very, very well. Every game we've played, it's been a tight game. The series is pretty much evenly matched. I mean, even if you look at the 2 teams, look at them in the standings. I mean, you look right across the board. I mean, statistically, they are even up all the way around. So, no, I mean, of course, we want to get some guys back, and I think we will. I think Edmonton is dealing with some injuries with Draisaitl going to be out for the rest of the regular season. So that called guys up to Bakersfield. And, of course, it's a trickle-up effect at this level of hockey. So I don't expect to see, Matthew Brown and Brady Stonehouse up in in Bakersfield, long term. I would expect them back hopefully here in the next few weeks, definitely before the playoffs. And the Komets still waiting to get James Stephon back, who is out with injury. He is working his way back and hoping to be back for playoffs. But we got Logan Nelson in the lineup last night. He was a big trade deadline pickup, and he was great. And I'm, with considering the losses we've had over the past few days, it was great to get Logan Nelson back. Josh Atkinson was another guy who we picked up at the trade deadline, a veteran defenseman who knows how to distribute. He was couldn't play last night because he was still serving a 3-game suspension. That is over with, and he can get in the lineup tonight. But defensively, this team is really good. I mean, you got maybe one of the best defensive cores you got in the league, because you're throwing Josh Atkinson in, and now one, maybe two really good defensemen are going to have to sit every night. So the coaching staff is going to have some decisions to make, especially when Dustin McFall gets off the injured reserve.
Indy Fuel coming into the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum tonight. They are, right behind the Komets in the central standings, but points-wise, they're 12 points back of the Komets. Komets at 83, Fuel at 71. So this is a good chance tonight to possibly get some more points and get even closer to evening things out or taking the lead over the Toledo Walleye.
Yeah, you know what? Right now, you're just worried about securing that playoff spot. The Komets are the magic number is 3, so we can actually get into the playoffs tonight. We got to win, and Cincinnati and Kalamazoo both have to lose, so we need a little bit of help. But we also have a chance, if it doesn't come to fruition tonight, we're going to play again on Sunday down in Indy, so definitely we'll have a chance to wrap up that playoff spot here by the end of the weekend, which is great. To have a playoff spot wrapped up before we turn the calendar into April is a really good place to be. The ultimate goal, of course, is to win that division. But you know what? This team has played really, really well on the road. So you get second place. Maybe it's not that big of a deal because the Komets 23 road wins. If they win out, they've only have 2 road games remaining. If they win those 2 games, they're going to tie the team record for most road wins in a season. So 74 years of Komet hockey, and you have a chance to tie a team record. That's pretty impressive. So the team has been really, really good on the road. So, as much as I would love to have home ice all the way through, you know what? I mean, the way we've played on the road, very happy with this team. But, again, you want to take down the evil empire in Toledo. That is still the goal. But, you know what, Indy, they're relatively comfortable there in that 3rd spot. They got a little bit of a cushion on those 3 teams chasing them. But, you know what, they still need to get their spot, and they're still a long ways off from getting that spot. So 2 big points on the line today. And right now, if the playoffs were to start, it'll be Fort Wayne and Indy. So, any chance you get an opportunity to take a pop at a potential playoff opponent, you're going to do it. So I expect these next 2 games here to be tough ones, because every time we played Indy this year, I think I want to say like 8 out of the 10 games we've played them have been decided by 1 goal. So every game has been close. So, I expect another close one here tonight.
Should be a packed house tonight at the Coliseum. I know you're not the promotions guy, Shane, but I do want to just get this out there for anybody who hasn't gotten tickets for tonight's game, especially families with young ones. It is Princess Night tonight at the Coliseum. There's going to be a Carnation giveaway. There's going to be a Princess meet and greet from 6:15 to 7:30 ahead of puck drop. There's going to be an on-ice Princess parade. It's also report card night, so I believe that's if you have an A on your report card, you can get a kid's ticket, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And you're going to have a Chuck-a-Puck tonight, too, so it's going to be a packed barn tonight there at the Coliseum.
Yeah, a lot going on. I think at last check we had about 9,500 tickets out, so not very many left.
No.
But there's still some left, so you want to get to the Coliseum ticket office and get those as soon as possible, but it looks like we could be looking at a crowd of over 10,000 here tonight. And the Komets have done great in attendance this year. We took a few hits on some dates due to the new ice that got put in. We lost a weekend because of the players' strike in December, and also Disney on Ice. Mm-hmm. We got kicked out for that there in March. So we lost quite a few Friday and Saturdays that we normally would have had. So we've had, we're going to have some more Wednesday and Thursday dates coming up here at the tail end. But the fact that we still have, we're averaging, close to 8,000. 7,900 right now is our average, a little over that, and we'll get to that again here tonight. But 8,100 was our average last year in attendance, and just the fact that we are that close to even hitting that mark again, despite having a few more weekday games than we're used to, is really incredible. And I got to thank all the Komet fans for coming out and supporting this team, even though we've had our ups and downs at home. This team obviously is in a good spot in the standings, and hoping for a deep playoff run, and hoping to announce, this weekend that those playoff tickets are going to go on sale soon.
Yeah, keep an eye on Komet's social media for that should they clinch this weekend, and definitely jump on your first chance to get playoff tickets. But I was almost wondering, if I definitely don't want to see a start to a season schedule like that again, but it almost felt like it built up an appetite. It kind of created a hunger in the Fort Wayne fans that they were rip-roaring at the opportunity to get into the Coliseum once they were back on home ice.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think in a way it kind of played in our favor a little bit because people were, ready to get at it. We didn't start at home until the end of November, till right before Thanksgiving. So, so fans were all jacked up and ready to get into the Coliseum, and they have come out, in droves. And again, it's been a great season, and it's going to be a great night tonight, and it could be a potential playoff preview. We're going to play Indy tonight. We're going to play them on the road on Sunday, and I think one more time, yet at home. So we can get our fill of the Indy Fuel here, but it would be great. We have not played a team from Indy in the playoffs since 1991. That is hard to believe that it's been that long since we have renewed that playoff rivalry. So, what? It would be nice to have an I-69 rivalry. Both fan bases, travel well. So, it'd be great, to have a close playoff series where a lot of Komet fans could also go down to Fishers and cheer the Komets on the road.
Fingers crossed the Komets get that win and the other two teams help them along and we clinch tonight. But regardless, Shane, have a fantastic call tonight and have a great time down in Indy on Sunday. And we'll talk to you next weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot, Adam. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was Shane Albahrani joining us on the Police Fire Credit Union phone line here on Talkin Sports on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Coming up, we'll take one more break, and then we'll wrap things up. You're listening to Talkin Sports, hosted by Adam Lundy in place of Jim Shovlin, right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Back a final time on Talkin Sports. It's Adam Lundy filling in for Jim Shovlin this morning. Thanks again to Shane Albahrani of the Fort Wayne Komets for joining me just moments ago to talk about all things Fort Wayne Komets. And also let me know that Metallica at the Sphere is probably out of my price budget. Also thanks to Mike McCaffrey, Saint Francis, for joining us earlier in the hour to talk all things Saint Francis Cougars athletics. All right. Also coming up today, friendly reminder that we are bringing you coverage of the IHSAA Boys Class 3A Basketball State Championship, and that's coming up at 6 o'clock p.m., and you can hear that right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Pre-game coverage will start about 5 or 7 minutes ahead of tip at 6 o'clock p.m. Good luck to the New Haven Bulldogs as they take on Indianapolis Cathedral. Again, that's the Class 3A State Championship set for 6 o'clock p.m. right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. That'll do it for me. Everybody have a fantastic rest of your Saturday and rest of your weekend. You've been listening to me filling in for Jim Shovlin on Talkin Sports right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.